Today we are going to learn about making predictions. So, if you are here to learn about making predictions, then let's go. Before we get started, I want everyone to know that this lesson can be used in a classroom, it can be used at home, or it can be used for an online classroom. In the description is the lesson plan and the student handout that is free. I would encourage everyone to download that so that students can follow along. However, if you don't have the handout, you can always use a whiteboard and marker or a piece of paper and a pencil. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our lesson on making predictions. Let's look at the word prediction. If I know anything about prefixes, I know a prefix happens before, like biography. Bio is before graphy, so I have an idea of what that word could mean. So prediction, preview. So when I go to see a movie, we have previews. Those happen before the movie. So I already know that prediction probably means it's going to happen before. So I'm probably going to be predicting things before they happen. All right, I just wanted us to see that connection. Next part, let's bring up background knowledge. Background knowledge is really important for good readers. When we bring up background knowledge, we make connections to new learning. So it's really important that we try to pull that information and knowledge we already have so that way we can connect it to something new. So let's jump into our handout. Making predictions. What do I already know about making predictions? Let's think about this quietly to ourselves. What do I already know about making predictions? Then if you have the handout, what I already know about making predictions is our sentence starter. And if we've never heard of a sentence starter, all that is a way for me to begin my sentence that is already given to me. Once we have that written down, we can then think, pair, share. If you're in a classroom, this would be a great time to pause the video and allow for your class the amount of time needed to think, pair, and share their ideas. All right, I look forward to seeing you for the next part. I hope if you were in a classroom, you heard some great ideas about making predictions. So let's jump into the next part, which is our objectives. Objectives are ways for good readers to know what our goals are throughout a lesson. When we start a lesson, it's always a good idea to refer back to our goals. So that way I can, one, as a student, see if I'm understanding my goals, and two, as a student, to remember why I'm learning this lesson. So my first objective, I can make predictions based on clues and information from a text. 2, I can communicate and discuss predictions. And 3, I can check my understanding of predictions. So those are our 3 objectives for this lesson. Your teacher or parent may choose more objectives or different ones, and that is fine. All right, so let's also talk a little bit about vocabulary. Before a lesson, we also want to cover some words that we're going to be hearing throughout the lesson. Our big word for today is prediction. So we've already heard that a couple times. Our second word is clues. And our next word, information. And the last one, guess. Because really when I'm making a prediction, I'm making a logical guess. So what is prediction? A prediction is an educated or logical guess on what will happen next in a story using clues and information from the text. I bet some of you don't even know that you make predictions every day. And some of you might have already made that connection. When we watch a movie, we already start to think about what's going to happen next. And then, if we see the next scene, we'll think to ourselves, I knew it. Or, I didn't see that coming. But we do that so naturally. We already pick apart the clues and information of what's already happening to make our predictions. Another way we predict is when we're having conversations. We may be talking to our friends or a family member, and they're saying things to us, and we already are predicting what they're going to say next. So who knew this is a skill we already probably have? How can we connect this to a text? Well, in today's lesson, that is our goal, is how do we predict what's going to happen next in a text? And a text can be nonfiction or fiction, and we can still predict. Today, we are going to read Too Many Carrots by Katie Hudson. How the lesson will go is I will model how to predict. And as I am modeling, I am also thinking out loud. Why do I think out loud? So that way I can model how to think when I'm reading. And that is also a skill as a good reader, is that I'm constantly thinking while reading. All right, let's get started. Rabbit loved carrots. He collected them wherever he went. So let's jump into this first page. We see our main character, who is Rabbit, and he's collecting carrots. And then up here it says, no trespassing. And it has a sign, no rabbits. Rabbit was proud of his collection and burrowed it away in his cozy hole. But Rabbit had a problem, a big problem. So I already see the rabbit is in a pile of carrots, and he has too many carrots in his home. He couldn't sleep. His cozy hole was too crowded to live in. Oh, that is a problem. I wonder what Rabbit will do because he has nowhere to sleep. I need a place to sleep, Rabbit told Tortoise. You could share my house, Tortoise offered. It looks cozy and snug, Rabbit said. Maybe it's a little too snug for two, suggested Tortoise. Not at all, Rabbit said. I love this picture because Rabbit is trying to shove his carrots into his friend's shell. Silly Rabbit. Oh dear, ouch, crash. Oh, our poor tortoise has a crack in his shell. That's not good. Oh dear, well perhaps we can stay in Bird's nest, said Rabbit. My nest is quite small, Rabbit, said Bird. I'm sure we will all fit, replied Rabbit. Rabbit hauled all his carrots up the tree. Whoa, groaned Tortoise and Bird as the branch wobbled and swayed. So I'm going to stop here, and this is where I'm going to make my first prediction. I'm going to use clues and information that I have already read to make my prediction as a reader. So I know that Rabbit has a problem bringing his carrots wherever he goes. And I know he's already tried to live with Tortoise. And as we saw, our poor tortoise friend now has a crack in his shell, and so they moved to Bird's nest. So my prediction is that Bird's nest is going to fall and break, and they're going to have to find somewhere else to stay. And now I'm going to continue reading to see if my prediction was correct or not. And snapped! Crash! I'm so sorry, Bird. Now the three of us don't have a place to sleep, said Rabbit. You can sleep in my house, offered Squirrel. Okay, thank you, Squirrel. How kind of you, said Rabbit. And I will stop there. So I'm going to check, was my prediction correct? Yes. Was my prediction word for word what happened? No, but it fit in what happened next. Because of the clues and information that I had already gathered, I was able to make a logical prediction. Now, logical prediction is a really important part of making predictions. If I were to say an alien spaceship is going to come down and take all the carrots, is that a fun prediction? Yeah. And if I was writing creative stories, I might put that in there. But as a reader, I want to make predictions that are logical. So I always want to make sure that my predictions are logical with the clues and information I was given. All right, coming up, you guys are going to make predictions. I don't think any more carrots will fit, Rabbit, said Squirrel. Just a few more, Rabbit replied. Uh-oh, whimpered Tortoise, Bird, and Squirrel. His friends already know what's going to happen. Creak, crack, crash! And they all go crashing down. Now, 4 of us don't have anywhere to sleep. grumbled Squirrel. You can sleep at my house. It has plenty of space, Beaver said. Great! I can bring even more carrots, Rabbit said with a smile. Uh-oh, Rabbit still hasn't learned. But with all your carrots, we can't fit inside, said Beaver, a bit bewildered. Just then the rain started, Tortoise shivered, Bird whimpered, and Squirrel squeaked. Okay, let's stop here. It is your turn to make a prediction. So let's reread what I just read so that way it's fresh in your brain and you can start making a prediction what will happen next. 4 of us don't have anywhere to sleep, grumbled Squirrel. You can sleep at my house, called Beaver. It has plenty of space. Great, I can bring even more carrots, replied Rabbit with a smile. But with all your carrots, we can't fit inside, said Beaver, a bit bewildered. Just then the rain started, Tortoise shivered, Bird whimpered, and Squirrel squeaked. Okay, if we look on down below, it says on your handout, my first prediction from the story is, my prediction is. I will also have the sentence up here on the screen. And then once you have your prediction, your second step, what clues or information did you use to make your prediction? Those are your goals right now, is those 2 things. So if you're in a classroom, I'd encourage you to pause the video, give your students time to work through this. And if you're at a homeschool setting, you can go ahead and just write out your information and we'll meet right back. All right, see you after that. And we're back. I bet some of you had some really good predictions. And I bet you had some good clues and information that was written as well to help you make your prediction. All right, now we continue reading to check our thinking and to see if our predictions were correct or not. And Beaver heard a terrible rumble as his house collapsed. Oh no, my house, yelled Beaver. Oh no, my carrots, cried Rabbit. All right, and there we go. His house completely collapsed and they're all in the water. So now on our handout, it says after reading the next part of the story, we should know if our prediction was correct or not. Circle yes or no if it was correct or incorrect. Remember, as a good reader, I am always checking my thinking as I read. So that way in the future, I can use my clues and information to make predictions and check my thinking and know were those good clues and information that I used. Okay, let's keep going. And remember, if you're in a classroom setting, it's always a great idea to pause so that students can discuss and share their ideas. All right, second prediction. We're going to keep reading so that way you can practice one more time making a prediction. Ah! So there they all are going down the river again. Crash! The friends groaned as they were swept up onto the riverbank. Oh, there they are. Rabbit felt terrible. His friends were cold, tired, and homeless, and it was all his fault. Even worse, Rabbit still had all of his carrots and his house. And that's when he realized there was only one thing to do. All right, so we are going to stop here. As we see, all his friends are in the rain. Rabbit, it has his carrots and his house is still standing. So, second prediction. What do you think Rabbit will do? Then, once you write that prediction, you are going to talk about what clues and informations you used to pull that information to make your prediction. And then I also encourage, if you're in a classroom, to pause the video so that way students can discuss their thinking. I'll see you for the last part. I know we probably are excited to see what's going to happen at the very end. And I bet some of you had some really good predictions and some good clues and information that you came up with. All right, let's read what will happen next. So as we left off, they're all in the rain and Rabbit's house is the only house that is left. And that's when he realized there was only one thing to do. Share everything with his friends. After all, carrots weren't for collecting, they were for sharing. Okay, so now we see that they have carrot party, and they have carrot cake and carrot smoothies and carrot cupcakes, and I wish I was at that party. That looks like a really good time, and they're all eating carrots, and they're nice and snug in the home. All right, so the next part, was your prediction correct or not? If you're using the handout, you can circle yes or no, and if not, you can just go ahead and check your thinking or write it down. All right, we have finished our book and making predictions. So I'm going to do a wrap up and then we'll check our understanding. Wrap up of today's lesson. We had learned about making predictions. As a good reader, I make predictions throughout my entire reading. I use clues and information that I have pulled from the story to help make a logical prediction. When I did my teacher read out loud, I referred back to what I had already read in order to make my prediction on what will happen next. And then I checked my understanding and my thinking to see if my prediction was correct or not. Sometimes predictions are incorrect, and that's okay. But we check our understanding so that way we continue practicing this skill as a good reader. All right, that is the end of the lesson for predictions. One last goal we have is to check our own understanding. So you will notice on the handout, or I will have it on the screen, you're going to check your level of understanding predictions. So you're going to circle red. Red means I have no idea how to do predictions. I am still confused. This usually means you will need another lesson or working one-on-one with your teacher or a parent. Yellow, I kind of understand this lesson, but I need to probably work with a partner. Sometimes working with a partner, they can help us start to learn this skill a little better. And lastly, green. Now, green means that you cannot only understand predictions, but you can probably teach them to the class or a partner. So green means you are an expert on making predictions. All right, that is the end of our lesson for today. If you liked today's lesson, please subscribe to my channel. Next week, I will be posting a video on theme. I will also have the lesson guide and a handout for students and a graphic organizer for learning theme. All right, I hope to see you in the next video, and I hope that you learned some things about prediction. Bye.